For the first time in its entire history, Medicare is paying for something it swore for decades it never would, and the door it just opened already has an expiration date stamped on it. Most people who qualify don't even know it's there. That's how our generation tends to find out about these things. Too late or never. You know the reflex. You're at a pharmacy counter, the slip slides across, there's a number on it, and you pay it. You don't ask if it's right. You don't ask if there's a cheaper way. Asking feels like making a fuss. And we were raised not to make a fuss. We were the latchkey kids. We let ourselves in, we handled dinner, we figured it out alone. Nobody was coming to help, so we stopped asking for it. And that reflex is expensive. Right now there's a benefit worth about $5,300 a year. The Social Security Administration's own number. And millions of people who qualify have never once claimed it. Not because they were turned down, because nobody told them the door was there, and we were raised not to go looking. That's the pattern. 3 doors are open right now. 3 real things the system set aside that most of us are walking straight past. 1 Medicare has never done before, and won't leave open forever. 1 can save the retirement checks you think you're about to lose. And the reason we miss all 3 says something quietly true about how our generation was built. One honest note before we walk through them. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a CPA, and this isn't personal financial advice. It's just the stuff our generation was never handed, laid out plainly, so you can ask the right questions when it's your money on the line. Subscribe if you want more of it, but stay with me now, because the first door is the one almost nobody sees coming. So why do we walk past our own money? Because the exact trait that got us here is the one holding us back, and almost nobody names it out loud. Think about what we're proud of. We don't ask for handouts. We don't take charity. We pay our own way. We read the fine print ourselves. We don't call the 800 number and sit on hold hoping some stranger sorts our life out. That independence is real, and it's earned, and it kept a lot of us standing through things that knocked other people down. But here's what it does to us when the help is legitimate. When something is actually ours, already funded, already set aside, sitting there with our name on the eligibility line, that same pride reads it as a handout and quietly says no thanks. We turn down money we already paid for because taking it feels like admitting we couldn't do it alone. And that's the part that gets me, watching it happen year after year. We'll research a used car for 3 weekends straight. We'll drive across town to save 40 cents a gallon. We will read every review before we buy a coffee maker. And then we'll walk right past a benefit worth thousands a year without a second look. Not because we're careless, but because it never once occurred to us that the thing was ours to take. Nobody frames it that way. Nobody sat us down and said, "This isn't a handout. This is a door the system built and forgot to point you toward." That's the reframe this whole video runs on. Not a program you're gaming, not charity. 3 things already paid for. And the only thing standing between you and them is a reflex you learned before you were 10 years old. If any of this is landing a little too close to home, do me a favor and tell me in the comments. What's one thing you've never asked for help with, even when you probably should have? I read those, because the clearest example of this showed up just this summer, and it's the first time Medicare has ever done it. For years, if you were on Medicare and your doctor wanted to put you on one of those weight loss drugs, Wegovy, Zepbound, the ones everyone's been talking about, the answer was flat. No. Medicare didn't cover obesity drugs. Full stop. You'd see the list price, around $245 a month, sometimes more, and that was your problem to solve. So most people just didn't. They watched the ads, they heard the neighbors' results, and they quietly filed it under "not for us." That changed this summer. There's a program now, it's called the Medicare GLP-1 Bridge, and it went live on the 1st of July. If you're an eligible Part D beneficiary, it brings the cost down to a flat $50 a month, not $245, $50. For Wegovy, for Zepbound, for a newer one called Foundayo. And I want you to sit up for this part, because it's the first time in Medicare's entire history that it has paid toward a weight loss drug at all. A line it held for decades. Gone. And most of the people it's for have no idea. Now let me be straight with you, the way I'd want someone to be with me, because a real door has real edges. This isn't Medicare suddenly covering these drugs for everyone forever. It's specific. You qualify on the medical side if your body mass index is 35 or higher on its own, or 27 and up if you've also got something like high blood pressure, kidney disease, prediabetes, or a history of heart trouble. It's the obesity use only. It's certain forms of the drug, Zepbound. For instance, only the quick pen version. And here's the edge that matters most. It doesn't run forever. The program is written to end on December the 31st, 2027. That's the expiration date I mentioned at the top. One more honest note. If you already get the low-income drug subsidy, that help doesn't stack on top of this $50 copay. 50 is the number. But walk the math with me anyway, because this is what the reflex costs in plain dollars. $245 a month down to $50 is $195 saved every month for someone who needs it. That's over $2,300 a year. Real money sitting in a program your own Medicare card can reach right now, that a person walks past simply because nobody told them the rule had changed. And the ones most likely to walk past it are us. The ones who'd never bring up a weight loss drug at an appointment because it feels like asking for something we should handle on our own. So if that's you or someone you love, the move is small and it's free. Next appointment, just ask. Ask your doctor or your pharmacist whether you're eligible for the GLP-1 bridge. That's it. That's the whole ask. Because the second door is one almost everyone gets exactly backwards, and it's costing people the Social Security checks they think they're about to lose. Here's one almost everyone gets backwards, and it keeps people working jobs they're ready to leave, or panicking when they finally quit. You've probably heard the rule. If you claim Social Security before your full retirement age and you keep earning, there's a limit. Earn over it. And Social Security starts holding back part of your check. For 2026, that annual limit is $24,480 if you're under full retirement age all year. So picture the person this traps. They've worked most of the year. Good salary. Let's say they've already earned $60,000-$70,000 by the fall. Now they want to retire in October and start their benefits. They do the math in their head. I've already blown way past $24,000, so I'll lose my checks for the rest of the year. Might as well keep working or just wait. And they grind on or they hold off, all based on a number that isn't the right number. Because there's a second rule sitting right underneath the first one, and hardly anyone tells you about it. It's called the Special Earnings Limit Rule, the first year rule. And it says this: in that first calendar year you retire, Social Security can look at your income month by month instead of for the whole year. So for any month you earn under a certain amount, for 2026 that's $2,040 if you're under full retirement age. You get your full benefit for that month. It does not matter that you earned $70,000 back in the spring. The spring doesn't count. What counts is, in October, in November, in December, now that you've actually stopped working, are you under that monthly line? If yes, the checks come. Sit with how backwards we had it. You looked at the big annual number, you assumed the worst, and you quietly decided you'd forfeit half a year of benefits you'd already earned. But the rule was never counting the year. It was counting the month you set the work down. And if you're right at your full retirement age this year, that monthly figure is far more generous. $5,430 a month before it affects anything. Two honest edges because they matter. This is the first calendar year only. After that, Social Security goes back to the annual test. So this is a one-time bridge across the year you retire, not forever. And the exact monthly figures are set for 2026. They move a little each year. But the shape holds, and the shape is the point. Nobody loses a full year of checks just because they had a good income before they walked out the door. This is that latchkey reflex again, isn't it? The one from the very start. We see a rule. We assume it works against us. And we don't ask. We don't call and check. We just eat the loss quietly because making a fuss feels worse than the money's worth. Except this time the fuss is one phone call and the money is months of Social Security checks. If you're anywhere near retiring mid-year, that's the move. Before you assume you'll lose them, ask about the first-year rule. And if you know someone stuck at a job right now, convinced they can't afford to leave until January, send them this. It might be the thing that changes their whole timeline, because the third door is the one that quietly changed the rules 2 years ago. And a lot of people who got told no before that change never went back to check. This is the door from the very beginning. The pharmacy counter, the $5,300 a year. It's called Extra Help, and it's run by Social Security to knock down what you pay for your Part D prescription drugs. And here's the part that catches people. The rules changed 2 years ago, and most folks who'd been told no never went back to find out. For a long time, Extra Help had 2 tiers. If your income was in a certain range, you didn't get the whole thing. You got a partial version with higher copays, a kind of consolation subsidy, so a lot of people applied, landed in that in-between zone, decided it wasn't worth the paperwork, and let it go. Then, on the 1st of January 2024, that changed. The partial tier is gone. Now, if you qualify at all, you get the full subsidy. There's no more second-class version. And full means full. Your Part D premium covered, your deductible at zero, and your prescription copays capped at just $5.10 for a generic, $12.65 for a brand name. If your income's low enough that you're also on Medicaid, those copays drop again, $1.60 and $4.90. Something like 300,000 people got moved straight up into that full benefit when the rule changed. So who qualifies now? The line is set at 150% of the federal poverty level. In plain terms, for 2026, that lands somewhere north of $23,900 a year in income for a single person. And I'd tell you to check the exact figure on Social Security's own site rather than trust any one number floating around out there, because it shifts with the poverty guidelines every year, and getting it wrong in either direction is how people talk themselves out of a benefit they'd actually get. There's a resource test, too. Roughly $18,000 in countable savings for an individual, about $36,000 for a couple, and your house and your car don't count against you. And here's the piece almost nobody realizes. If you're already on Medicaid or a Medicare savings program or SSI, you don't even apply. You're automatically enrolled. The help is supposed to find you. But for everyone else, everyone sitting just above that automatic line, it doesn't come looking. You have to go to it. Now put the number back on it because this is the one that stings. Extra help is worth about $5,300 a year, by Social Security's own estimate. Picture that over a 20-year retirement. That's six figures, more than $100,000 walked past. Not because someone was denied, but because they applied once, years ago, got told they only qualified for the partial version, decided it wasn't worth it, and never learned the day the rules changed underneath them. So this is your permission if you needed it to go back and check again, especially if the last time you looked was before 2024. The line moved. You might be on the right side of it now and not know. That's not a handout you're chasing. That's a door that changed quietly while our whole generation was busy handling everything else alone. So why is it always us? Why is it our generation, specifically standing at the counter paying full price when there's a door 3 feet away? Go back to the beginning of all this. We came up in a particular moment. We were the kids who let ourselves in after school, who learned early that if something needed doing, you did it yourself, because the grown-ups were working and nobody was coming. And then we watched. We watched a parent's pension get promised and then vanish. We watched 2008 take houses and jobs from people who'd done everything right. We learned over and over that the system was not built to look out for us, that trusting an institution to hand you something was how you got hurt. So we built a defense that served us well. Expect nothing, ask for nothing, handle it yourself. That defense is not wrong. It's part of what makes our generation quietly formidable. But it has one blind spot, and these 3 doors sit right inside it. Because when you've trained yourself to assume the system is never on your side, you can't tell the difference between a scam and a benefit you already paid for. They both trip the same alarm. So you say no to both. You protect yourself right out of your own money. This is what I keep coming back to watching this for years. The independence that raised us is worth keeping. I wouldn't trade it, and I wouldn't ask you to. I'd just stop letting it be the one thing standing between us and what's already ours. Because none of these 3 are charity. The GLP-1 bridge, the first-year Social Security rule, extra help. Those aren't the system doing you a favor. That's the system finally, briefly, pointing at a door it built with your name on it. And most of us are too busy being self-sufficient to walk through it. So here's all I'm asking, and none of it costs a dime. If a weight loss drug is something you or someone you love actually needs, at your next appointment, ask your doctor or pharmacist about the GLP-1 bridge before it closes at the end of 2027. If you're anywhere near retiring in the middle of a year, don't do the annual math and panic. Ask Social Security about the first-year rule before you assume you'll lose those checks. And if you ever looked into extra help and got told no, go back and look again, especially if that was before 2024, because the line moved and nobody sent you a letter. 3 small asks, 3 doors, that's the whole video. And I'd love to hear this from you, because I know I'm not the only one. What's the benefit, the discount, the help you were entitled to and almost walked right past, just because asking felt like too much? Tell me in the comments. Somebody reading is going to see their own story in yours and go make a phone call because of it. That's the whole reason this channel exists. If any of this made you look at your own habits a little differently, subscribe and stick around. Because the stuff our generation was never handed is exactly what we cover here, 1 door at a time. Take care of yourself, and go check at least one of those 3.